Hi, and welcome to Everything's Dumb. My name is Victoria.
I'm Kate.
Today we are talking about poor city planning, but specifically how it relates to making a city as hot as hell. Miserable. I originally named this episode Hot Cities, but that sounds like a fun thing. This is not a fun thing.
Hot city summer.
So, poor city planning. Before I complain about how hot and sweaty I am, which I think you can probably see on camera, let's just chat real fast about the fact that we had a really fun movie night last night with our good pals.
Yay!
So the movie Jaws came out on June 20th, 1975.
Damn.
Which was just over 50 years ago.
That's insane.
Yeah, so we watched Jaws to celebrate. And I had seen it once before, but like a few years ago.
Oh, I thought you hadn't seen it.
No, but I just saw it the one time. And you know, when you watch a movie once, you don't really remember everything.
Right.
I feel like I have to watch it a few times to... Anyway, so a lot of it was a surprise to me because I kind of forgot how it went. But some of our friends had not seen it before.
Yeah. Like most of the people watching, or half the people watching, had not ever seen Jaws. And of course had seen like my boyfriend was one of the people that hadn't seen it before, but he had seen all of the iconic scenes. That one scene where he's like throwing the chum into the water and like looking back and smoking the cigarette and not paying attention to the water.
I was like, turn around!
Face pops up. As soon as that started, I was right next to Brian and he was like, oh, that, like he knew that's an iconic
that's the
shot.
Yeah.
That was one of the only shots that actually had the shark in it.
Yeah.
And that was the iconic shot. And then he stands up really fast, you know?
Yeah.
And so they had known certain things about it. Obviously, you know the storyline. It's about a shark. But it's fun, like, you know, it's not just that. The politics of it all.
Yeah.
The small town, having to shut down the beach on 4th of July.
If you haven't seen Jaws, I highly recommend. It is it's like suspenseful.
Yeah.
It has really funny moments. It has really sad moments because it's about, like, shark attacks.
Yeah.
It's just really good.
Yeah, it holds up.
There is a lot of the... Spoiler alert, the shark is not the villain of that movie.
Right.
There is one specific villain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you who it is. You can watch it and you can make your own decision.
Yeah.
But, it was really fun. And then it was your suggestion that we have breakfast for dinner.
So we did this at our friend Danny's house.
Yes.
And we've done movie nights there before.
Cute is Danny?
And she's always so gracious to host.
She's an amazing host.
Yeah, she is.
She's had us over so many times.
Right.
And we always show up like 2 hours late.
But at least she expects it at this point.
We try to be on time.
Right. Well, it's usually the holdup is I'm trying to make something to bring.
Yeah.
And
a lot of us come together.
Yes.
So
especially now that we live in the same place.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes so much sense that we're going to carpool everywhere together. But she does come to expect... She's always so great to host. She has, like, a large enough seating area for all of us to fit, which is the big struggle in LA. You kind of have to limit your friends if you want to have them over to a party.
Well, she just got a new couch because her mom moved into a different house and her mom gave her old couch.
Right.
And then Danny very graciously gave me her couch.
Yep.
So, which is so comfortable.
It's the couch redistribution system.
So thank you, Danny. I love it.
Yes.
But so now she has a massive couch and she has these really fun spinny chairs.
And as someone who enjoys hosting and always does way too much shit and goes above and beyond and stresses myself out and kills myself every time that I host something, but I love to do it for some fucked up reason. I do appreciate that she, you know, like you said, she's an amazing host. We go over there and the cups are sitting out and all the utensils are sitting out.
Drinks,
serving trays and stuff, which we never use because we're like, Danny, we don't want you to have to clean these.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to eat out of the tray it comes in. We're fine. But she's so gracious to host all the time. And so she had the idea of, let's do a movie night again and what if we just all come in our PJs and we just have like a PJ party.
Yeah.
And that was obviously an amazing idea, especially for a movie like Jaws, where you kind of like, it's not a scary movie, but there's scary parts and it's really suspenseful, and it kind of just feels good to be cozy and like cuddle up with a blanket or whatever. I mean, it was way too hot last night to do that, but even for me. But it was a fun idea to like, oh, let's just go in our PJs or whatever. And then we always have to figure out food whenever we're getting together. And we're just going to do a big thing of movie snacks. But if it's going to be around dinner time, like, is that going to be our dinner? Are we going to get a dinner? And so in thinking about it, I was just like, well, if we're all going to be in our PJs, you know, it'd be really fun would just be to do breakfast for dinner. Yeah. And everybody just brings a breakfast item because... Yeah. Not everyone in our group likes to cook. Not everybody is as confident in their abilities to make something. But I was like, with breakfast, you could just go buy whatever, muffins, or our friend Alejandra bought Pop-Tarts, which were great. Yeah. You know, like, you can bring something and have it still be on theme, but not have to go through all the effort of making something. But I think it worked out really well. Everybody had a really good time.
Yeah. I do like to cook, but I actually didn't cook anything. I bought chocolate babka from Trader Joe's.
Nice.
And I supplied the orange juice for mimosas.
We did have quite a few mimosas.
And a bottle of champagne.
Yes.
Or Prosecco. Yeah, we had 4 bottles.
That was the other thing. So, love Danny. Such an angel.
Love her.
The girl does not drink. And we do. And I feel like I was telling you this yesterday because she was talking about, oh, we should do mimosas or something because it would be on theme.
Yeah,
and
like
that
a
would be
brunch
a fun drink.
beverage.
And she's like, I have 2 bottles of Prosecco, so we're all set. And I was like, doing the math in my head, and I was like, there are going to be 6, 7 of us?
Yeah.
6 of us, at least? That math doesn't math very well.
That's not enough.
If it was just you and me, I would have 2 bottles of Prosecco and be like, should I get a third?
Right.
Because it's just the 2 of us.
Right.
So,
but for 7 people?
Yeah.
So you and I ran to
we were like, oh,
the
thanks
store
so
across
much.
the
That's
street.
going to be great. And we're going to get more.
Yeah.
Prosecco because...
And we went through all 4 bottles.
That's knowing yourself. At the end of the night, we had like half a bottle left, and I was just like, all right, this is going to go bad.
Like, we have to kill this. Danny's not going to drink this
everybody
later
just
tonight.
had a little bit. It was a perfect night.
It was great.
It was great.
Yeah, it was really fun.
The moral of the story is always buy more Prosecco.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Okay, so today we're talking about city planning. Bad city planning.
Dumb city planning.
Yeah. City planning that didn't actually get planned. So I just did the tiniest amount of research. I feel a little disappointed in myself that I didn't actually research this topic.
Why?
But you seem to be happy about that.
Yeah, I don't care. This is not a podcast for learning. I'm so sorry if you thought that it was.
I listen to a lot of stuff you should know. So in my mind, a podcast is like, let me teach you something.
Nope. I listen to podcasts that are brain breaks. Yeah. That are not trying to learn. I don't want to come away from this like richer in knowledge. No, yeah. I just want to space out for 30 to 40 minutes and not think about my life.
While you're recording?
Oh, sorry. I just meant listening to.
Oh, okay.
Those are the podcasts I like to do.
Oh, okay.
I do space out.
I was like, you don't have to. I guess you can space out while we're recording. That's fine.
Especially if you're hosting the episode. I just kind of sit here.
Yeah. And sip on whatever. What is that?
Kombucha and vodka.
You got an appropriately sized straw.
I did. Look at that. Look at this. Both options were available. Why do you choose the stumpy straw?
Be bigger.
I was for a long time using the glass straws, and then I realized that picked up too much on the mic, so I went for the bamboo straw. But I did pick one. I did pick the adult-sized one. I don't know why.
I thought it would be longer, and then I dropped it in, and
it's a straw the size of one of those like pencils they give you at mini golf to keep score. It's like the tiniest.
That's so little.
Next time we'll give you like a sippy cup or something.
There you go. Okay. Focus. Okay, so I just like 2 little facts, and then we'll start complaining.
2 tiny facts.
Yeah. Okay, so city planning is as old as cities themselves.
Makes sense.
And cities started about 6,000 years ago.
Okay.
Before that, people were hunting and gathering. And then agriculture became a thing, which actually some people say that the advent of agriculture was the beginning of the downfall of society. And I agree, but we can talk about that in another podcast, another episode.
All right, stay tuned.
I have a lot of thoughts about that, but now is not the time. So in the Indus Valley, they used the grid system, which we have up here in North Hollywood.
Oh, love it.
Roads, north to south, and then east to west.
Yep. You can always find your way through the city streets of the valley.
Yeah.
Los Angeles, no, not at all. It doesn't make any sense over there. But in the valley, we know if you're on Burbank Boulevard, you know that's east to west.
Yeah.
And you know that if you keep going east to west, eventually you'll hit Lankershim.
Yep.
And you know that goes north to south. It's so nice.
There are some sections down in LA, like Koreatown and West Hollywood and stuff, that are on a grid.
First
but then
street,
there
second
are just
street, third
then
street,
there are just random,
Yep.
like Pico or Wilshire or whatever the fuck. They just all of a sudden,
yep.
And I'm like, well, what?
Yep.
Where are you going?
Yeah. Manhattan is a great grid system.
Yes.
That's the perfect example. Number the streets.
Manhattan is so gorgeous because, like, you're in Midtown and you want to get up to the Upper East Side and you're like, yeah, I have to walk about a mile, but I just stay on this one street.
Yep.
And it'll take me right there.
And then I'm going to take a left.
Yeah.
And then I'll be
just
in
one left.
west.
That's perfect.
Yep.
Oh, you can also walk through Central Park. Would you ever consider moving to New York?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that was the first choice.
Can we have a serious conversation about this?
But the weather.
Isn't the weather here bad, though?
But only in one way.
I mean, how sweaty are you right now?
Only in one way. I only have to worry about the heat in California. I do not have to worry about the heat and the incredible cold that is... No.
What if we get you a really thick down
Here's the
coat?
thing.
Okay.
I need a bubble surrounding me at all times because that city is a series, because it is a grid system, because it is an island, it is a series of wind tunnels that blow from all directions at all times. Usually, if you're in a city and the wind is blowing at you from one direction, you're like, hey, let's just cut down this side street. Yeah. Instead of going north to south, we'll go east to west, and we'll avoid all this wind blowing in our face. And then you turn down the side street to go east to west, and there's more fucking wind because it's a goddamn island and the wind is blowing from all fucking directions somehow. And the tall buildings just funnel that wind so intensely. And that's the problem.
So I'm guessing then that you would never consider moving to Chicago.
See, I've never been to Chicago.
Well, it happens to be nicknamed the Windy City.
I imagine I would not want to live there full time. Here's my plan.
Chicago seems so cool,
I need a bi-coastal situation. I need to not... Because then... you can avoid all the shit weather. If you just have places in different parts of the country, you can just avoid the extreme heat of California and New York by going to Chicago. Because Chicago, in August, as we all learned from the DNC last year, was fucking 72 degrees in August.
Oh my God.
It is the most beautiful, gorgeous weather. But in the wintertime, I will not be anywhere near that place. I will be in Los Angeles, where it is a frigid 52, and then transfer over to New York for the fall time, which is arguably
fall in New York,
the best.
Gorgeous.
Spring and fall in New York I will never turn down.
I was just in New York for the fall a few years ago. Has it already been a few years? It was excellent.
Yeah. No,
2023. I was there in the fall.
But the summertime in New York, trying to take the subway in 150% humidity, which I'm making up, but feels like that.
That sounds accurate.
It is, like, you think the streets are hot, and then you go down into a tunnel of hot. It's like you're walking into a sauna from a hot day.
But it's New York.
Right.
There's so much culture.
In the spring and the fall, that culture is still there.
Come on. You can be a sweaty bitch in New York City.
Right. Yes.
Focus on the New York City part of that sentence.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay, so all we have to do is make a shit ton of money, and then we can live in LA, Chicago, and New York.
As much as we complain about the rent here, New York, it's New York. Like, New York rent is more than Los Angeles rent, especially since we live in the valley. There's no valley of New York.
Yeah.
It's just a
There's,
shoebox
like,
costs thousands of dollars.
The Bronx.
But that's not New York.
Okay, you have a point. Okay, anyway. Back to the history of city planning.
And that's the episode, folks. Thank you so much for listening.
I really don't have that much more. There was a Greek scholar whose name I can't pronounce, who was the father of urban planning.
Nice.
And then the Industrial Revolution increased the importance of city planning because they started to have factories. And they didn't want to have the factories in the middle of town because it created a lot of pollution. So they would put them on the edge of town, but then they needed the employees to live near the factories. So then they started to like think about where to put housing, where to put the factories, blah, 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 blah. That was
the original
great
Sims
sentence. Yes. I never played Sims.
I didn't either.
Okay.
Another thing we have in common.
We should just have a whole episode about things that we haven't done. That would be so interesting for everyone.
I hate this. Me too. I never did this. Me neither. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and rate.
I would listen to that. And then Harvard offered the first course in city planning in 1909, which feels late. Feels like they should have had one before that. It was called The Principles of City Planning. So Los Angeles, our fair city that is so hot and sweaty today.
So well planned.
LA could have used someone who graduated from that program.
Yeah, probably.
Because this situation right here is a fucking mess. So the movie studios set up camp in LA because there was nothing here.
Right.
And real estate was extremely cheap.
Sure.
So they built their studios here to film movies on a budget. But then everyone who worked in the movies moved to LA and they started building the city around the studios, and it just kept expanding and expanding and expanding.
There is literally a part of LA very near to us called Studio City.
And expanding. Yes, exactly.
That is a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Just down the street. Yeah, LA feels like it was not planned at all because it wasn't. No. It's just sprawl. Yeah. It just sprawls into the mountains.
It was someone planting a flag in the ground and being like, this is where I'm going to put my movie studio. And then people being like, okay, and just swarming around. And everything just got built around wherever these dudes wanted to stick their flag in the ground.
Exactly. Okay, so here are some facts. I was going to call them fun facts. They're not fun.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fucked facts.
There you go. Here are some fucked facts.
We have to credit Tony and Ryan for that phrase.
Yes. Tony and Ryan. What is their show called? Just Tony and Ryan? It's not called like the Tony and Ryan podcast? No. Okay.
Just like we're not the Everything's Dumb podcast, but that's what people call us. But yeah, Tony and Ryan, check them out.
So yeah, Kate and I both listen to Tony and Ryan.
Obsessively.
I think, so she tried to have a fucked facts segment and then he shut her down so hard.
Yeah. Apparently her facts weren't fucked enough.
I liked that segment.
I know. That's the whole struggle with that podcast. Is that all the listeners love the fucked facts.
Yeah.
But Ryan hates the fucked facts.
Anyway.
We have some fucked facts here.
So these facts are extremely fucked, and it made me quite angry to type this out. Did you know?
Oh boy.
That if you have a city,
I do.
Say Los Angeles, for example.
Sure.
And there is a shady part that has grass on the ground.
I literally thought, like, you don't want to go to the shady part.
No.
Shady.
Literal shade.
A sketchy part.
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the shady part, like sketchy, is never the part of this city that has shade from the trees.
Maybe it wouldn't be so shady if it was a little more shady.
Exactly. I can't argue with that logic.
All these angry, hot people.
Yep.
That's how violence happens.
Okay. I actually think that there might be some truth to
If everyone was perfectly regulated in their body temperature and always had a snack, I don't think violence would be a thing.
Because I'm a lot more feisty when I'm overheated.
Right. Yeah.
Which is about 8 months
If you
out
were
of the
always
year.
at the perfect temperature and just always had a snack,
you wouldn't be hot and flustered and you wouldn't be hangry.
Would you have a complaint in the world?
Probably not.
Would gangs be a thing?
Probably not.
Like,
I
whatever.
bet Compton doesn't have many trees. I should edit that out. I'm gonna get shot. I forget what I was saying. This is gonna be a shit show to edit.
Fun.
Okay, anyway, parts of the city that have shade, like trees and grass,
yes,
can be between 15 and 25 degrees cooler
Jesus Christ.
than parts of the exact same city, even if it's just half a mile down the street, that do not have trees and grass.
Cool.
Because, as we all know, asphalt and concrete absorb heat and then just release them back. And so, I mean, my apartment upstairs.
Right there.
So great. This wall right here, the afternoon sun just bakes that wall.
Yep.
And so in the afternoon, I can go up to that wall and put my hand against it, and it is like hot to the touch.
That's also because California, unlike the East Coast where we grew up, does not have proper insulation in their buildings.
Oh, no.
That's the other thing I have found. There's not, it's nice weather here, so we don't need to, insulate the buildings from the elements outside.
It's not nice. It feels like I'm living on the surface of the sun.
Back when it used to get up to, 85 in the summertime, before it started hitting the hundreds in the summertime.
Yeah. And I think Google has not been updated since then, because before I moved to LA, I Googled what's the weather like in LA. And it told me that in the summer it was between 75 and 85. And I was like, oh, that's manageable. Virginia's hotter than that, and it's humid, so I can totally handle it.
You might have needed to refine your Google search for the area that you wanted to live in, because I imagine Santa Monica.
Yeah. It probably took the temperature out by the beach where it's nice and breezy and cool.
There's always wind, which is the one thing I hate about the beach.
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved to California, I lived by the beach in Ventura, where I went to film school, and I remember moving out here and having bought all these cute little shirts and these tiny little skirts that I could wear, because it was going to be summertime all the time. And I walked outside and the wind would just blow. And I just remember having the firmest grip on the side of my skirt everywhere that I would walk at class, because it was just
so windy.
Constant wind.
It's breezy.
Right, because it's all coming off the ocean, and then you get the marine layer that comes off the ocean and just makes it cloudy for months out of the year. And I'm like, what the fuck? I thought I was moving to sunny Southern California where it was going to be hot all the time, and I was going to be able to wear these cute little dresses and skirts and stuff, and it was just nothing but wind and clouds all the time.
But when people...
That's what you were looking for.
So when people in LA complain about... So we have May gray and June gloom. When they complain about that, I'm just like, you better fucking appreciate this, because in 2 months it's going to be 114 degrees and we're all going to be sweating our fucking faces off.
Yep.
I love May gray. I wake up and it's dark and it's gloomy and I'm like, thank fuck. I feel like I'm in Scotland. This is beautiful. And then July through November, I just want to jump off a cliff. Okay.
I feel like the May gray wouldn't be as bad to me if we didn't live in an area where daylight savings makes it dark at 5 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem I have with it, is that for months out of the year, it is dark at 4:35 p.m. here. And then we finally come out of it and it starts getting lighter later. And I'm like, oh my God, sunshine, finally. And then it's dark for 2 months. And I'm just, but I want to see the sun.
I definitely hear you. I just would rather have that than whatever the fuck September is.
Yeah, September used to not be that bad.
It's awful.
And now it's bad.
And then 2 years ago, we had heat waves in October.
Yeah.
My boyfriend at the time and I went out of town, and his mom came over to cat sit for us. Aww. And we had unplugged our air conditioning and put it in the closet. And when we got back, she was like, oh my God, it was so hot. There was a heat wave. And I was like, I'm so sorry. It was October. I didn't know. Yeah, it's awful. So in Los Angeles, there is a place called Griffith Park. I'm sure you know it well.
Yes.
So at the entrance to Griffith Park in Los Feliz, there is Vermont Avenue?
Sure.
Probably not street. Probably avenue.
I think it's Vermont Avenue.
Okay. So there's Vermont. And in Los Feliz, Vermont is nice and beautiful. Lots of trees, lots of shade. Gorgeous. If you take Vermont south, even a mile or two, you get into Koreatown, zero shade.
Yeah.
Zero grass.
Yep.
So, like, North Vermont is beautiful.
Yep.
And cool and lovely.
And expensive.
And then you get down into Koreatown, and, like, I have talked extensively about the fact that I used to take the bus to work to, like, shitty minimum wage jobs. And if you are standing on Vermont waiting for the bus in direct sunlight in the middle of August, going to a job that barely pays your rent, it's like, what is the point? Why am I doing this?
Yep.
This is what my life is?
This was planned.
Somebody planned this, or somebody should have planned this better.
Yeah.
It's just awful. I really feel like poor people deserve shade.
Yeah. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you deserve to boil in the sun all the time.
To have that, like, trickle of sweat running down your back.
Well, and also...
At 10 in the morning.
Planting more trees is just better for everyone and everything. Don't they, like, purify the air? All the pollution.
But as we just learned, they should be female trees.
They should be female trees. This botanical sexism will not stand.
Exactly. And then also, if you can't hang out outside because it's too hot, people aren't going to exercise outside. They're not going to meet up with their friends. They're not going to enjoy nature. I mean, LA doesn't really have nature, but, like, it would be nice if they could enjoy nature.
If we planted some nature, they could enjoy nature. But
people are just going to sit in their houses and run the AC and watch TV, which is what I do because it's too hot to go outside.
But then you're being a consumer because you're spending money on the electric, and you're spending money when you watch TV because you're seeing ads and commercials, and maybe you'll buy something. And that's much more useful to the system than if you were just outside enjoying the sun and a nice, cool, breezy day.
So, capitalism and greed?
Yeah.
Cool.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's like our bingo word for
pretty much.
For every single episode.
Capitalism and greed. Or the patriarchy. Or patriarchy and capitalism and greed.
There you go. They often go hand in hand.
Yeah. It's the underlying theme of everything that's dumb.
Yeah. Good time for a drink, because that was a depressing sentence. With my little baby straw.
I really hope... if you can get it, do it. I really hope we're ending on something actually positive and not tales of murder and death and things.
You worry about your own closing segment.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, I have a few things.
I brought you a recipe of pints of citrus juice, and you're coming at me with murder tales?
A full pint of lime juice.
3 pints of orange juice.
And 3 pints of mango juice.
No, 3 cups.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Whoa.
It's fucking crazy. 3 pints. It's not custom.
That's not custom. My favorite line is just like, what flavor? Custom.
Custom flavor. It's like the Bob's Burgers, and that's hip-hop. That's custom.
And that's hip-hop. I obviously have a very strong opinion about this. You are allowed to have your own opinion.
All right.
So don't be afraid.
Sure. Terrified.
There is a correct answer, but you can say whatever you want. So would you rather live in a nice, cool, nature-centric city where you might have to walk a few blocks to get to the grocery store or your favorite bar or the restaurant or whatever, but it's a few blocks with trees and a nice path alongside maybe some water? Imagine having some water in a city. Mm-hmm. Picture Amsterdam.
Okay.
Or would you rather have your favorite bar right around the corner, but, like, it's all concrete and it's baking in the sun and you're boiling and, like, there's just fucking pollen everywhere? Which one would you prefer?
Well, I don't know that the first option exists, is the problem. I've only ever seen, like, either you're baking in the sun and it's right around the corner, or it's miles away and the only option is to drive or live somewhere where you will be murdered and no one would hear you.
But what if you have a little bike?
I still think you could get murdered on a bike.
But what if you live in a place where people don't murder each other?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm not talking about America.
Okay.
There are countries in the world.
Okay, if it's Amsterdam or LA, I'll choose Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but I enjoy the lifestyle.
I think you would enjoy Amsterdam.
Have you
should
been?
go to... No.
Oh, okay.
We should go to Amsterdam together. I will stroll along the canals.
Mm-hmm. Bikes. You said bike.
I can ride my bike
there.
along the canals.
Yeah.
And then you can...
I'll be in a coffee shop just hanging out.
Smoke a lot of weed.
Just hanging out in a coffee shop. Just doing whatever they do in a I don't know.
Exactly.
Whatever the locals do in coffee shops over there, I'll probably...
Who knows what the locals do in Amsterdam?
I've never really
Kate doesn't know.
Into it.
It's not the reason she wants to go.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so we're in agreement.
Yeah.
Fuck LA.
Wait, what?
Okay, so for my closing segment today, we are revisiting 5 frivolous facts.
Fuck. Okay.
No, these are short.
Okay.
I feel like I say that every time, and it's never true. Okay, this is gonna be so fast.
Okay.
The first one. Did you know
5.
that a group of pandas is called an embarrassment?
I did not, but that is sad.
Well, it is. Also, I know that you know this because we've talked about it before. A group of crows is called a murder.
Yes.
And my favorite joke in the world is that one crow by itself is called an attempted murder. Yep, there you go.
That's nice.
That was a good fact. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
An embarrassment of pandas.
An attempted embarrassment is just one panda.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Okay, I listened to an episode of Stuff You Should Know today about the author of the Anarchist's Cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
So his name was William Powell. I didn't know I had only ever heard of the book.
Yeah.
And I knew that a certain piece of shit named Timothy McVeigh had a copy of it, but I didn't know anything about the actual book or who wrote it. I thought that it was just a book full of instructions on how to make bombs.
Right.
Which it does include instructions on how to make bombs, but it also includes instructions on how to make, like, LSD.
Interesting.
And stuff like that. So it was written by a guy named William Powell, and he had kind of a rough childhood. He grew up in the U.S., but when he was 3 years old, his family moved from the U.S. to the U.K., and then when he was in England, he got bullied for being American, which is surprising to me because I've always heard that Americans who move to Britain are, like, super popular because they're obsessed with Americans. Mm-hmm. But this was, I think, in the 50s, 40s or 50s, so maybe that wasn't a thing yet. But anyway, so he was bullied in the UK, and then his family moved back to America, and then he was bullied in America for having a British accent. So, and then he was sent to boarding school, and he was bullied at boarding school, and then he was also maybe potentially molested at boarding school.
Oh, Jesus.
So he had a really tough upbringing, and he also had an undiagnosed learning disability. So he had a really hard time.
Really bringing it up at the end here.
This is just one of my facts. Anyway, he fell in with a crowd of people who were protesting the Vietnam War.
Sure.
For good reason.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Totally understand. But I think the people he met kind of focused on the let's overthrow the government so that they won't send us to Vietnam crowd. Mm-hmm. So he kind of got a little bit brainwashed into believing that the only way to stand up to an oppressive government is through violence. Mm-hmm. So he went to the library and he, like, copied down all these instructions on how to make bombs and how to make drugs, and then he drew his own little illustrations, and then he put them in a book and sent them to publishers, and a lot of publishers were like, we're not going to fucking do this. Like, What are you talking about? But then one publisher was like, yes, absolutely. And then they gave him just, like, a few $1,000, and he didn't even get to keep the rights from it. And he immediately regretted it. He was 19 years old.
Oh my God.
And then a few years later, he graduated from college, and he went into teaching, and he taught, like, special ed kids who had learning disabilities. Uh-huh. And he traveled all over the world and taught at schools with kids who really needed help. And he made a really great contribution to education, like, worldwide. But this book has, like, followed him.
Yeah.
And people hate him for it. And he feels so bad, and he apologized so many times, and he kept writing to publishers saying, because the rights kept getting bought by different people, and he kept writing to them saying, like, please stop printing this book. Like, I don't mean any of this anymore. Like, this is such a mistake. I was a teenager. Like, please don't. But people are making money off of it, so they keep printing it. So anyway, I guess the not so frivolous fact is just that the author of that book, that all the teenage dudes who think that they're like so cool and alternative and like I'm anti-government because they try to tell me what to do, the author is just like, fucking stop. Like, don't do this shit anymore. It's not cool. You don't look cool. You look stupid. And then he also like went on to do really great things in the world. Okay, number 3. The 42nd, 43rd, and 47th U.S. president were all born in the same year.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yep. Clinton was the 42nd. George W. Bush was the 43rd. Some person is the 47th.
Person?
They're all... That's a polite word.
I don't think that's the correct category.
They're all born in the same year. Like, our current president was born in the same year as the person who became president a year after I was born.
Cool.
So, like, maybe some younger people would be nice.
Cool.
Okay, so that's the third fact.
Ugh.
The fourth fact, have you heard of the Crusades?
Sure.
So when the Crusades were happening, which was 1095 to 1272.
Obviously.
There were no humans in New Zealand. Because humans arrived in New Zealand in 1350.
Okay.
That's just a fact.
Okay.
You don't have to have an opinion on
it. Were there humans in Australia?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
This is what the internet told me. If the internet is lying,
I'm not.
That feels like it's not my fault.
I'm just trying to find the. Okay.
Yeah, but maybe they felt like New Zealand, it was so little, so many sheep.
Yeah.
Such paradise.
I know there are like natives in New Zealand, though.
Yeah, the Maori. But I don't think they were there yet. They came from Polynesia.
Okay. Because I was like, how are natives not already there?
Well, they just weren't there yet.
I know, but like, native, doesn't that mean like...
It doesn't mean that you popped out of the ground. It just means you were there before the white people arrived. That's what native means.
Oh, okay. I guess it just means like you were always there to me. Like you were inherently... Like,
well, you were there after you got there. But everyone came from Africa. Like, Native Americans weren't here from the dawn of time. They were only here after they arrived here.
That's not what the dinosaurs turned into?
What fucking religion were you raised in? Are you a Mormon?
Noah brought all the dinosaurs onto the boat, and then when he let them off, they all turned into people.
Okay, we need to have a conversation off the air about just basic history and biology.
I think I'm right.
That's what a Mormon would say. Okay, my last fact.
Whatever, Amish.
The Amish have really good baked goods, though.
Okay.
And they can build one hell of a barn.
Quickly.
Very quickly.
And quilts.
Yeah.
You get quilts.
Oh, I do have an excellent quilt upstairs.
Okay. The evidence is piling up.
Yep. There are worse things you could be.
If you start churning butter, I will be able to hear it.
I've never... Actually, that's not true. I have churned butter. Let's move right along. The Baja Men, who sang Who Let the Dogs Out...
Yes.
Started their band in 1977.
In New Zealand?
No.
Oh.
This is a separate topic.
God damn it.
1977 is closer in time to the last successful British prosecution for witchcraft than it is to today. The last woman who was tried for witchcraft was in 1944.
So the witches let the dogs out.
Sure.
Oh.
Real fast. Don't judge me. Real fast. Helen Duncan was born in Scotland in 1897. She traveled throughout Britain holding regular seances during which she would produce ectoplasm from her mouth. I looked up how she did this. The internet doesn't have an answer. And then people at the seances would claim that ghosts would appear, like ghosts of their relatives, and they would like physically touch them. So I don't know if all these people are lying or if they're all on drugs. Who knows? But in 1941, she spoke to a deceased sailor, a British sailor, who told her that his ship had been sunk in the Mediterranean, which is something that the British government had not told anyone because they were embarrassed that the Germans sunk one of their ships. So, like, how would she know that? So then they barged in 1944 to one of her seances and arrested her because they were worried that she was going to reveal that she, like, had a connection to ghosts and that she was going to reveal British wartime secrets. So they arrested her to keep her quiet.
And sent her to New Zealand.
No.
Now I'm on it.
And then this is the funniest sentence that I found, which was the officers attempted to stop the ectoplasm coming out of her mouth, but they failed. And then they arrested her. And my question is, like, I don't under...
So she spewed?
Yeah, it was like she was barfing everywhere. Okay. And they were like, stop it. And she didn't. So they were like, fine, we'll arrest you.
Interesting. Was it against the law to spew? For a lady.
For a lady. How dare she?
A lady in public.
Yeah. Also, she was a Scot, and English people are maybe not the biggest fan of the Scots, although the Scots hate them a lot more. For good reason. Because of
New Zealand.
2 centuries of murder. Let New Zealand go.
No, I will never let New Zealand go. I want to know how those people got there.
A boat.
But they're native.
Okay. Hey Siri, explain the word native to me. Wait, she's actually listening. Don't see when I'm joking, she pays attention. Yep. Okay, so she was tried under the Witchcraft Act of 1735, which had not been used for more than a century, but they were so paranoid that she was going to release secrets that they threw her in prison. But afterwards, they realized that they fucked up, and the Witchcraft Act was repealed. And then spiritualism was officially recognized as a religion. So you could then claim to be like a spiritualist and connect with deceased people without breaking the law.
Did she get let out?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She was released from prison in 1944, but people harassed her until she died, and they kept trying to arrest her again, but they couldn't find anything on her because she wasn't actually doing anything wrong.
Right.
But then she died, and they put a bronze bust of her in her hometown.
Nice.
To honor her. But isn't that crazy? So the Who Let the Dogs Out people, their band started, like, closer in time to the last witch trial than to us.
And we'll never know who actually let the dogs out.
No. Although when I was a kid, my extended family was at my house for Thanksgiving, and we had a dog named Calliope. She was a cute little thing. And one of my cousins accidentally let her, like, off of the porch, and Calliope would constantly run away, like, any chance she could get, because I'm from a very rural area, and she would just take off across the cow field. She was a city dog,
and she was like, fuck this place, I gotta get back to the asphalt.
She would, like, head off across the fields and over the streams and through the woods, and we would find her, like, miles away, like, a week later. But anyway, so one of my cousins opened the door, and then my other cousins were singing Who Let the Dogs Out to him. And I remember being like, this feels like bullying.
But you found the dog.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We would always find her.
Okay.
And she would always have those sticker things. You know, the sticker bush? They're like little triangles.
Oh, okay.
They would get stuck in her fur, and she would have the burrs.
Yeah.
With the little hooked things stuck in her fur. So my dad would always be, like, cutting them out of her fur, so she would always have, like, a really choppy haircut. And she looked very silly, and it was like, if you don't want to look silly, stop running away.
Yeah.
And she didn't give a fuck. Our next episode, we will be talking about Amazon.
Not the rainforest.
Or the hot women.
No. No, there's nothing dumb about them. It's
that sells
the
everything.
Company.
Yeah. Kate has a lot of feelings about it.
Stay tuned. That will be out on Monday.
Yes, very soon, just in a few days. That should be a good one. Not full of anger or vitriol.
No, it's going to be real happy, good lucky,
be really fun.
Nothing. The company hasn't done anything wrong to our society at all.
Mm-mm.
That'd be good.
It hasn't caused thousands of small businesses
No, it's only helped us.
Yep.
2-day shipping.
You know, you can go to a store and buy something and take it home that same day.
If they have it in stock.
Which a lot of times they don't now because everyone buys from Amazon, so companies can't afford to keep things. Okay, we'll talk about this on Monday.
Join us again.
All right. Well, in the meantime, thank you very much for listening and for watching.
Thank you.
You can catch more audio episodes wherever you find your podcasts, and you can watch more video episodes on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
Video episodes on Spotify.
Yeah, why not?
Please subscribe, and if you like our videos, feel free to press that like button if you want.
Doesn't hurt.
If you like it.
Doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
Helps us.
It does indeed help. It sure does.
Takes no time at all.
And if you feel like leaving us a review on Spotify, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
We would love to read what you have to say. Mm-hmm. That'd be a good time for everyone involved. You can find us at Everything's Dumb Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Our email address is everythingsdumbpod@gmail.com. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.
We did it.
We did it. Okay, bye.
Bye.